have you ever walked in a house and it's just peaceful? You can.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it, but other than that, and I had another friend that she would call. Her life was a mess, God bless her. She would always call, Lisa, can you pray for me? Blah, blah, blah. And I try to give her advice. And if I say go left, she go right. And it's like, that's how it was. And then maybe 3 years ago, she called me and, she was really going through a rough time. And I was like, she knew God, but she had strayed. And, encouraging her to get back and, and her renew her walk with the Lord. And she did. And last year I lost her. Yeah, she passed away. COVID took her out. But I know she's with the Lord now. Yeah. Have you seen that God always makes a way for us to minister to our families? And it might not be how we think it should be, but God always opens that door. Have you had that experience?
I have, but I've been pushing back on God. I'm like, Lord, I don't want to talk to nobody. What are you doing? Yeah, because I noticed like I was just not, because I wasn't taught to basically kind of talk to people about the gospel, and I was learning more here as I came to commitment. It was, of course, foreign to me. So, my husband, God bless his soul, he can talk. And everywhere we went, he'd talk to people about it and stuff like that. And he'd be like, if it was a couple, he's like, you should go talk to the wife. I'm like, no, I'm all right. Stay right here. But, yeah, so he would challenge me to talk to like friends or family members if they came to me with issues or whatever the case may be. If they, because a lot of people did confide and talk to me. But I was just like, no, I think I'll just listen and I'll be a lending ear and a shoulder to cry on. But I've learned more and more. It was more of God pushing me to actually be able to not only just live it out, but show him in me when I speak to them. So I've been able to do that now, because now I've fully surrendered, Lord. You're welcome. Now that I'm doing it, yes, I do see people come to me now and they ask me for prayer and things like that. And, and I try not to, because a lot of times people say, well, what do they say? What was it? Bible thumpers, are we called?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Too much, but I try to be encouraging as much as possible and talk to them about, like, of course, always God's love, like, because I think a lot of times they feel like they're not worthy enough, so they'll go to someone who they feel is worthy. So that's why but although we still pray, I find that a lot. Yeah, they'll come to me and they'll say, well, can you pray for me? And then, but it's also challenging me because I'm like, okay. But then I ask, Lord, use me. And of course, the words come out. But I have seen that the more that they do come and I'm able to pray for them, the more they seek you out, and the more they might want to seek God and things of that nature. And then even ask you, like, when is your Sunday services, or, when is Bible study? Like, I've been able to even lead someone to our engaged group.
Cool.
At least start there before jumping in. And it's been neat to see, although I'm a little rebellious sometimes. But yes, it's always like they do their own thing, and then when things go wrong, they're like, can you pray for me? It's like, can you talk to God for me since you one of his kids?
I got that too. I had that happen to me.
Tracks.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like Melissa. I'm surprised to hear that about you. She's always so open on during noon prayer. She's so frank and straightforward.
I finally surrendered.
Okay, so I'm not the person that goes up in the store and puts your hand on somebody's shoulder and, ask them questions about their walk. Yes, I'm not that person. I'm the person that I have to get to know you and I have to feel comfortable with you and vice versa before I ever say anything. But I try to let my life reflect the person that I am. And so God uses me in ways that I don't always realize. An example that just happened last week, I was in my front yard working outside, and my neighbor who is Jewish, married to a Hindu who is friends with a Muslim, a Pakistani Muslim. And the lady, Noor, came over to my fence, and she just started talking to me. And we talked for a while, and she told me the whole thing. She said, my friends say to me, how can you be friends with her, meaning my neighbor, because she's she's a Jew and you're a Muslim. And she said, well, because I like her, I love her, she's my friend. And I know she will do anything. I've seen her over there helping and whatnot. So anyway, we talked for a while. And then she asked me to pray for her daughter, who's in the process. She's a teacher. She's a baby. She just began teaching in the fall in Camden. And she's been struggling. She teaches physics and some other sciences.
She's smart.
Yeah, she's a smart girl. So she said, can you pray for her because she's been sick. She has a sinus infection that she has to have surgery for. That surgery won't happen until June. But in the meantime, she's been struggling because she's been so sick. At any rate, she didn't ask me to pray with her. She just asked me to pray for her. So we didn't pray, and she just kind of went away. Well, I guess maybe an hour and a half later, she showed back up in my driveway with her daughter in tow. And she introduced her to me because she remembered my name. And really, we didn't talk about the Lord at all. I was just giving her advice about what I thought she should do with regard to her employment situation, because she feels that she's being singled out. Both of them are teachers, and her mother actually had shared with me that she overheard a parent saying, why do you have that woman from Pakistan teaching my child? So, she was saying racism. What she said to me is, I keep experiencing racism. And her daughter told me she felt she was being treated the way she gets what she considers an unfair amount of work dumped on her, especially since this is her very first year teaching. And the expectation is that she can get it all done. When she gets it done, they give her more. And she sees around her that others aren't. So she just feels that racism, again, is the source of it. But we just kind of talk. I talk, and her mother knows I'm a believer. She knows from her friend because she already asked me to pray for her. And I just found that to be really interesting. And then when I chuckled to myself when she left, I was like, Lord, you really got a sense of humor here. Because I would have never thought she would have come and struck up a conversation with me, and let alone ask me to pray for her and her family. So that's one example. And then I had my neighbor who actually has given her life to the Lord. She's been talking to me for years and sharing with me what's going on in her life and whatnot. And I've been sharing with her about the Lord. And her husband and I, we have, I'll say, gentle debates because he's trying to proselytize me so that I can become a Hindu. And finally one day when she was away on vacation, and she always asked me they haven't been anywhere for the past few years, but she always asked me if I would go over and check on her. And she used to have a little Chihuahua. Her husband didn't like the dog, so she would want me to go over and check on the dog and make sure he was still alive and kicking and take him for a walk or whatever. But anyway, one day I went over, and her husband started to talk to me about Jesus and about the fact that Jesus was a wise man, just like all the other wise men, but I explained to him that wasn't my belief, and that I knew that Jesus was God. And he said, yeah, but God is in everything. Well, no, God isn't in everything. Well, anyway, we had a gentle discussion. And in the end, I had to tell him, I said, you're not going to change my mind. And obviously I'm not going to change yours, but I'll just keep praying for you. And he told me he's going to pray for me as well. And I do know that his wife tells me he gets up every morning at 3 o'clock, and from about 3 to 5 o'clock in the morning, he is praying to whoever he prays to. So, people like that, you just pray for them and you live your life out, and I know that he sees how I live. And then when his wife, one day I had taken her to the emergency room, and on the way back, COVID has really impacted her. She calls it COVID phobia. So she's been terrorized about getting sick and dying from COVID, both she and her husband and her family. So I taken her to the emergency room, of which she has gone many times, not always with me, but very many emergency room visits. And we just started talking, and she asked me what she needed to do to give her life to the Lord.
Awesome. No.
And I said, well, it's really just a matter of recognizing that he came, that he died for us, and that he rose again. And I said, really, that's what it's about. And that we're sinners and we need him. Well, she prayed, we prayed a kind of makeshift sinner's prayer, and she accepted Jesus. And now every day that I talk to her, and believe me, it's almost every day, she always shares with me, I was praying, I was up praying, I was asking the Lord. So, it's an amazing, to see God work in his own way. In people's hearts, in ways you don't even think about. He's busy. You might be planting the seed, but he's busy with the watering can, making that faith grow. So yeah,
that's awesome. It's so neat.
Awesome.
God he'll set you up. How he'll make situations where you find yourself with somebody. I remember I was working at the Jewish Community Center, and by this time I was just subbing, so I was in there in and out. And we had put the babies down for a nap, and it was like quiet and dark. And the woman I was working with, she's Jewish, and she just started spilling out, and her life was just a mess. So I was able to tell her about Christ and how he has worked in my life and the peace that he had given me, and I was able to plant. Some plant, some water, but God gives increase. So I was able to plant. And I didn't get called to substitute anymore, so I never got a chance to see her again. But I'm thinking, okay, Lord, at least I did get a chance to plant that seed. Right. So I think for all of us, the biggest takeaway is to be open to God and to live, and where people can see and let our light shine. And I think that speaks volumes to our family and friends that might not believe yet, because I'm believing God is going to minister to them, and they're going to snatch them up. So anything else before we close out?
No.
Well, I thank you, ladies, for your time. I thank you for sharing with our listening and viewing audience here on Sister Circle. God bless. Until we see you again, take care.
Take care.
Bye.